Before we dive into this incredible true-to-life story of courage, skill, and unstoppable determination, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications because you do not want to miss the jaw-dropping moments that follow. Moments that changed history forever. The sun had barely risen over the rugged coastline of Virginia when 18-year-old Harper Cole crouched behind a jagged rock. Her breath shallow, heart racing, and eyes scanning the distant horizon with a calm intensity that belied her age. Most teenagers were still sleeping, dreaming of prom and college. But Harper's life had already been rewritten by tragedy, loss, and an insatiable drive for mastery that set her apart. She had grown up in a small town, the daughter of a retired Navy officer who had once whispered tales of covert missions, sniper duels, and battles where precision meant life or death. Yet Harper had always been underestimated because of her age, her gender, and the innocence that people assumed her youthful face betrayed. But those who judged her soon discovered that Harper's hands were steadier than the fiercest storm, her mind sharper than any seasoned operator's, and her resolve unshakable. It had started months earlier when a top-secret recruitment team had noticed her performance in a clandestine marksmanship competition, a trial designed to weed out the timid and uncommitted. Harper had walked into the range, looked at the target, and whispered softly, almost teasingly, "Mind if I?" before her first shot cracked through the silence, hitting the bullseye with unerring accuracy. That one shot had not only stunned the judges, but had begun a chain reaction that would thrust her into the world of elite SEAL sniper training. Harper's life from that point forward became a relentless test of skill, endurance, and intellect. She endured grueling hours of physical conditioning, running through rain-soaked forests and rocky cliffs, her muscles screaming, yet her determination never wavered. She learned to calculate wind speeds, angles, and bullet trajectories with a precision that seemed almost unnatural for someone so young, mastering camouflage techniques that made her nearly invisible even in broad daylight. Her peers, mostly seasoned men in their mid-20s and 30s, often tried to intimidate her, but Harper had an uncanny ability to read people, to anticipate their moves, and to turn their aggression against them, often with a sly smirk that left them frustrated and impressed all at once. It was during one of these exercises, deep in the Sierra Nevada mountains, that Harper faced the ultimate test. A simulated mission required her to eliminate a target from an impossible distance while accounting for variable wind conditions, a moving target, and the constant threat of detection. The instructors had written her off as too young, too inexperienced, but Harper ignored the whispers, the skeptical glances and the smirks, focusing only on the target. Her breathing synchronized with the rhythm of her heart, each heartbeat a countdown to destiny. When she fired, the shot sliced through the morning air, striking perfectly on target, a feat that would have been impressive for a veteran with a decade of experience, let alone an 18-year-old girl with a single year of formal training. News of her skill spread quickly through the ranks, drawing the attention of higher-ups in the Navy who saw in her the potential for a legendary career. Yet Harper's journey was not just about physical prowess. It was also a test of moral courage. She was sent on a classified mission overseas to neutralize a high-profile target responsible for devastating attacks, a mission where one miscalculation could cost lives, including her own. In the tense hours before the operation, she reviewed intelligence reports, photographs, and satellite images, meticulously calculating every variable. She remembered her father's words from her childhood. "Precision is nothing without patience, Harper. Never rush the shot." Those words echoed in her mind as she lay prone on the rooftop overlooking the compound, her breathing controlled, her finger poised on the trigger. The world seemed to hold its breath with her, every second stretching into an eternity. Then, in a whisper so soft it could barely be heard, she muttered, "Mind if I?" before squeezing the trigger. The shot was perfect. The target neutralized. The operation a success. Harper had not only proven her skill, but had begun cementing her legend in a world where legends were rare and respected. Yet, even in the midst of acclaim, she remained haunted by the weight of her actions and the lives she had touched irrevocably. The praise, the medals, and the recognition were fleeting. The real challenge, Harper realized, was living with the knowledge that she had irrevocably changed the course of history at the age of 18. Harper's legend continued to grow as she returned home, hailed as a prodigy, a hero, and a figure who inspired both awe and fear among her peers. But with fame came scrutiny. The media descended, eager to capture the girl who had defied expectations and altered the course of a critical mission. She faced interviews, press conferences, and public appearances, all while maintaining the disciplined composure that had become her trademark. Yet behind the polished exterior, Harper struggled with the reality of what she had done. Every mission, every shot, was a reminder that life could be changed or ended in an instant by someone who had mastered the art of distance and precision. Her relationships were strained, her friendships tested, and yet she found solace in her training, in the meticulous study of ballistics and tactical planning that gave her mind a structured refuge from the chaos of public attention. It was during one of these intense training sessions that Harper discovered a conspiracy within her own ranks, a mole leaking classified intelligence to foreign adversaries. The discovery forced her to act not only as a sniper but as a detective, navigating a treacherous web of lies, betrayal, and shifting alliances. Each move she made had to be precise, each action calculated with the same care she used when lining up a shot. She endured betrayals from people she had trusted, threats from those who underestimated her age and her cunning, and moments where failure seemed inevitable. Yet Harper's ability to anticipate, to read patterns, and to remain several steps ahead turned potential disaster into triumph, proving that her skill extended far beyond marksmanship into the realm of strategy and psychological warfare. The stakes escalated when Harper was deployed on an international operation that required the elimination of a notorious warlord hidden deep within a fortified compound. Intelligence suggested the target was heavily guarded, mobile, and prepared for any conventional attack. But Harper's approach was unconventional. Using a combination of stealth, high-altitude observation, and the latest sniper technology, she maneuvered into position over several days, enduring harsh elements, isolation, and constant threat of detection. The mission tested not only her training but her resilience, forcing her to confront doubts, fears, and the limits of her own body and mind. On the decisive day, she faced a choice that would define her career, a risky shot that, if successful, would end a prolonged conflict, but, if missed, could cost innocent lives and compromise the mission. Harper's decision was guided by instinct, training, and an unshakable moral compass. She whispered again, almost as a mantra, "Mind if I?" Before firing. The bullet flew with deadly accuracy, striking the target precisely and triggering a chain reaction that dismantled the warlord's operation and prevented untold casualties. The operation's success cemented Harper's reputation internationally, her name whispered in military circles as a symbol of precision, courage, and unwavering determination. Yet for Harper, the victory was bittersweet. She had become a legend, but the weight of her actions, the lives affected, and the moral responsibility she carried was immense. The glory of the moment was inseparable from the burden of consequence, a reality that would shape her future missions and the person she would become. Harper Cole had faced countless battles, lethal missions, and impossible odds in her brief but legendary career. Yet nothing had prepared her for the assignment that now lay before her. An operation so complex and perilous that it would test the limits of every skill, every instinct, and every moral fiber she had cultivated since that first defining shot at 18. Intelligence. Reports had revealed a sprawling network of rogue operatives orchestrating a catastrophic attack capable of destabilizing entire regions, their movements masked by layers of deception, advanced counter-surveillance, and ruthless efficiency. Harper moved like a shadow through urban ruins and dense forests, blending with every environment. Her senses sharpened to detect the slightest hint of danger, the rustle of a distant leaf, the glint of a scope in the dark, the faint vibrations in the concrete beneath her boots. She endured days with minimal sleep, surviving on sparse rations, calculating every trajectory, every wind shift, and every timing sequence with obsessive precision, knowing that even the slightest miscalculation could result in mission failure or worse, the deaths of innocents. Along the way, Harper uncovered betrayals from those she had trusted, allies who had been compromised, and double agents whose allegiances shifted like shadows, forcing her to question every decision, every movement, every voice she encountered. Yet despite the isolation, the danger, and the constant pressure, Harper's mind remained unshakable, a fortress of logic, intuition, and experience, honed by years of relentless training and hardened by battles that few could imagine surviving. As she approached the climax of the mission, she found herself atop a jagged ridge overlooking the enemy stronghold, a compound fortified with advanced weaponry, trained snipers, and a labyrinth of hidden traps. Time slowed, each heartbeat echoing like a drum, the wind whispering through her hair, the sun casting long, sharp shadows across the terrain. She set up her rifle, calibrating it with painstaking care, and scanned the landscape, identifying the high-value targets and the precise sequence required to neutralize them without triggering a chain reaction that could cost hundreds of lives. Memories of past operations, the victories, the failures, the haunting faces of those lost, flickered through her mind, each one reinforcing the gravity of her responsibility. Harper whispered softly to herself, almost reverently, "Mind if I?" Before taking the shot that would define her career and alter the course of history. The bullet sailed through the air with unerring accuracy, striking the primary target dead center. A perfect execution that set off a series of meticulously timed maneuvers, disabling communications, neutralizing threats, and collapsing the network in a cascade of controlled precision. The mission, a feat that would later be studied in military academies, had succeeded beyond all expectations, but Harper did not linger on triumph. She moved through the compound, disarming traps, guiding Allied forces through the aftermath, and ensuring that every life that could be spared was saved. As the operation drew to a close, she finally allowed herself a moment of reflection, the enormity of what she had accomplished settling over her like a heavy, solemn shroud. She realized that her journey, from the uncertain, underestimated teenager who had whispered, "Mind if I?" to the unparalleled SEAL sniper who had reshaped the battlefield, was more than a tale of skill and precision. It was a testament to resilience, moral courage, and the capacity of one individual to shape the world. Harper's name became immortalized not just in medals or classified commendations, but in the whispered respect of soldiers, the awe of global intelligence agencies, and the admiration of generations who would hear her story and understand that age. Gender and circumstance were never barriers to greatness. She had faced betrayal, danger, and the weight of life and death countless times. Yet she emerged not only victorious, but transformed, wiser, sharper, and more attuned to the profound responsibility that power and skill bring. And though history would record her victories, the accolades, and the missions, Harper knew that her true legacy was the quiet, unyielding determination that had guided her hand, the patience that had steadied her aim, and the courage that had allowed her to make impossible choices with clarity and conviction. At 18, she had fired a shot that shook the world. Now, years later, Harper Cole had not only maintained her position among legends, but had become a symbol of excellence, courage, and the extraordinary potential of human determination. Her story concluded not with fanfare, but with the quiet understanding that true greatness is measured not by recognition, but by the unflinching pursuit of purpose, the mastery of skill, and the unwavering commitment to act decisively when the world is watching and when no one else dares to. Harper Cole, the girl who had once asked, "Mind if I?" before her first shot, had transformed into a living legend. Her name forever etched in the annals of history, a reminder that courage, skill, and integrity could alter the course of nations and inspire all who dared to dream beyond limitations.